back and having a conversation with me again. This is officially going to be show 2 of Decoding the Human Expression with Jennifer Van Allen. And today we're going to be talking about muscle testing. The last show that we did, Jennifer gave some amazing insights and information on the VX19 Sin of Nations. So if you haven't checked that show out, some really great information, and definitely a lot different than the stuff that comes out in the mainstream narrative for sure. So we're going to move on a little bit too. We're going to have 3 and 4, and 3 we're going to get into epigenetics, which is an awesome topic. I'm really looking forward, Jennifer, to you explaining epigenetics. I listened to Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza. I think that they're amazing people, but you have so much knowledge in this. I enjoy listening to you just as much as I do Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton. So I'm looking forward to the next show too. And then finally on the 4th, Decoding the Human Expression, we're going to be talking about the law of one and diving into the spiritual aspects of the science of things and exploring the I am, which is a very, very important concept. And I guess for me, it's beyond a concept. It's about experiencing this and applying it in your life, and how it really can transform your life in any time. And especially right now, a lot of people are going through, everybody is confused. There's so much going on. And now it's a really powerful time for everybody to kind of put the warrior suit on, the courage suit, and start taking action.
And center, yeah,
absolutely.
I think one of the things I love most about the I am is, and I taught a course a while ago about just what it is to find your I am, and I remember people like hearing it and going, what does that even mean? What does it mean, I am? And I ask people across the board. I ask people super new agey in Sedona, and then even to like the Christian community and all that kind of stuff. Of what is the I am? And it was like baffling to them. And yet it's something we say all day, every day. I am stupid. I am smart. I am doing a great job. I am going to do that. They are the most powerful manifesting words. But how do we know if we're centered and aligned with that? And then it's like, okay, what does it mean to be aligned with who I am? So while we're not in that now, just to like, I guess what is that? Give a sneak peek to it or whatever ahead of time. It's really, it's being whether you believe in God or source, or whatever, it's being aligned to that, what you were created to be. A dandelion's not meant to be a cactus. A cactus isn't meant to be a dandelion. And how do you find peace and truth in what you were created to be, and that cohesiveness? And you want to say that my eyes tear up. It's probably one of the most powerful things that I help people learn. Yeah, more than epigenetics, more than diet, more than anything. To reset, that is to reset yourself on a cellular level out. And it's really powerful. Epigenetics is what you talked about a minute ago. Epigenetics is looking at it saying, this is what I am because this printout says it. But Bruce Lipton and so many others who are in the fields of epigenetics know that those things shift and change. You can actually turn those single nucleotide polymorphisms on and off, And so what is it to literally change what your body is manifesting physically as matter of what it is? And so I look forward to getting into those things, the I am and epigenetics, because they're so powerful.
Yeah. Because it is so amazing to think about how powerful human beings are. And I just, when I really came to this I wouldn't say full actualization or anything, but I really had this profound thing came over me when I was running. Of course, I feel like I'm always running when something happens. But I literally was like, I'm thinking myself into existence right now. Like I'm fully thinking myself into existence. And that just sort of blew my mind, and it laid the groundwork for this discovering the technology of your body and the quantum nature of us. We don't have to mentally go into the math and the theory of all of this. Everyone is just every millisecond of every day living their quantum being, expressing themselves fully.
Yeah.
So amazing.
And to put that in application in layman's terms, because, there are times where we're talking up here, like before we started, we're talking about quarks and, all these kinds of things. And so like when we're speaking up here, to put this in like application of super layman's terms, there are clients I work with who come to me and they have issues with weight. And I can't tell you how many people have issues with weight. And when I listen to them speak, just in that first appointment, in less than the first 15 minutes, I hear them saying, yeah, I feel like, I just don't have enough. I feel like I'm not enough. I feel like I just need to be more. Okay. Do you know what that physically means? Your body is going to store more. Your body is going to say, I don't have enough. I need to store what I have. Literally, it's manifesting that. And then we go into where those belief systems began, and they go, oh my gosh, and they shift and they cry, and they they get the anger out of whatever it was, but they find the root of those belief systems and let those neural pathways and belief systems go, and then their body goes, okay. Because literally what's happening is they're saying, I need to be more. So their body goes, okay, let's do that. And their body does it. That's how our body works. And when they shift that and go, I am enough, I am satisfied, I am whatever it may be, their body goes, okay. And immediately their body begins shifting and changing from the cellular, the belief system, to the DNA, to the RNA, to the cell, to the protein. Everything changes to the biochemical level and biophysiological level to then be enough, already be enough. And let go of what's excess, let go of the belief of holding more and more and more. It literally changes. I mean, there was one lady who I worked with her, and within 3 appointments over the course of 3 months, she lost 75 pounds.
Wow.
Belief systems, powerful things, powerful things.
That's what make her life, our perspective and belief. That's
yes.
That's it. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff. I love this.
So today you want to talk about muscle testing?
Yeah, I wanted to get into muscle testing because I feel like that, I'll say this. I learned some muscle testing and biofeedback when I went to massage school 20 years ago. And I thought I knew something about it until, of course, we met you, and realized very quickly I didn't know anything about muscle testing and biofeedback like I thought. So, since Tracy's been taking your course on muscle testing, and we now do muscle testing all the time on almost everything that we have a question on, and it's like it never fails. It always works, especially when you know how to do it properly. So I figured that muscle testing is a really good tool, because what I'm really looking for is, what are solution-based applications that we can use going forward in this world, creating a new world, because we've got one part of the world going this way, and then we've got another part of the world going this way. This is that yin yang, that binary thing happening where, there's going to be a lot of people in this world that, really want to come out of this whole experience just feeling amazing, feeling joyful, feeling happy, and being able to fully express themselves as a sovereign living soul. And I think that muscle testing is an amazing tool to help in this application. So yeah, anything that you could tell us or tell me on muscle testing,
Hey, I love it so much. So I learned, just to give some background, I learned actually applied kinesiology first, but way before I learned self muscle testing, and way before I learned how to use a pendulum. And I want to preemptively stop right now and tell everybody, pause, hit the pause button or whatever, and listen to this for a second. I know that people hear the word pendulum and they go divination. We are going to speak to that today. You don't find the answers to that in many places. We are going to speak to it scripturally and scientifically, both. Those answers were not readily available for me. And so I make sure whenever I teach anybody, including in my courses, I speak truth to those things based on the research I've done, because I myself, as a Bible-believing Christian, have those questions and had those concerns. So we are going to speak to what is the difference between muscle testing, a pendulum, divination, all of these things. We're going to speak to that. But just to give you background of how I came to it because I learned applied kinesiology, and applied kinesiology came from Dr. Goodhart, who was a chiropractor in the 1950s. He was studying with chiropractic. He was practicing chiropractor, but he was combining, and chiropractic work came from 1920s with physiology and using anatomy and different ways and muscle systems and how you can work together with the body as a whole. And then you have chiropractic, which looks at the spine and how the spine interacts with all these places in the body, the cerebrospinal fluid, the brainstem, the atlas, all these things, how it's all interconnected. Well, Dr. Goodhart was putting together and realizing patterns. And the patterns he was realizing actually were very much reflective of what we see in traditional Chinese medicine, that the body, just like the earth, just like atoms, just like everything, has poles, has polarization. It has, electrons and protons, it has a north and a south. So when he was looking through all these things and delving into it deeper, he realized that there are ways to test the stresses and the integrity of each muscle in the body, and then find what that stress meant for correlating places in the body. So for example, if you have stresses in supraspinatus, which is one of your muscle systems, you'll see a lot of chiropractors will muscle test for a supplement. You hold a supplement and they're going to test to see if your arm goes weak with it, meaning that it's weakening to you and your body as a whole, or if your arm gets stronger with it and it's encouraging or invigorating to your system in your body. So one of the things is, like, for supraspinatus, that actually has to do with one of our what's called a meridian. And from Dr. Goodhart's work, we then got the field of applied kinesiology. That's actually really prevalent in a lot of European countries and also Canada. If you go there, just like you go to see a naturopathic doctor here, an acupuncturist, a chiropractor, if you go there, an applied kinesiology practitioner is someone that you see as a specialist who looks at your body as a whole and finds the stress and how to shift it in the body through muscle testing. That's very different than self-muscle testing. Both are very important fields of work. And what I teach my students is self-muscle testing and also a pendulum, should they want to learn that. The thing with whether you're looking at the body system as a whole with applied kinesiology and traditional Chinese medicine and the interaction between all of that, or self-muscle testing, is we're looking for binary, yes or no. I would say think of it very much like a lie detector test, okay? A lie detector test, my name is Jennifer, that's a neutral. We have a baseline, right? We're not getting an indicator change of over facilitation or me feeling like, oh no. And we're not getting an indicator change of under facilitation and me going, oh, that's not true. That's weakening. That makes me sad. It just is. It's just neutral, right? My name is Jennifer, neutral. When we're looking at self-muscle testing, we're always establishing a baseline of what's neutral and then testing for a yes or a no, okay? A binary yes or a no. That's what I teach with self-muscle testing. One of the reasons why I want to say I teach it, well, actually not, I want to say one of the reasons I began teaching it, self-muscle testing, years ago to clients for free, I was just teaching them, was because I had so many clients who would come in, they'd get an appointment, I would go through the whole body system on them, do the work, find the stress, shift them, and then during their follow-up, over the next 2 weeks, they're private messaging me or texting me, this was years ago, hey, can I eat this one thing? I'm trying this kind of rice. Is this rice the right kind of rice? Is this? And honestly, in my mind, it made more sense for me to empower them to find out what is really going on with their body than to charge them for 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. That doesn't even make sense. And so what muscle testing is it's the ability to use a modality, just like a lie detector test, to facilitate that conversation between the subconscious body, where there's stored trauma, stored stresses, processes that are running that we don't think about all the time, like breathing, digestion, inherited trauma, epigenetics, all these things that are in subconscious body, and the conscious body going, okay, yeah, but I want to be my best self. What of this can I shift? Can I change? Self-muscle testing and applied kinesiology allows you to facilitate that conversation between the subconscious body and the conscious body. That is a powerful tool, because once you learn it, it goes from you being able to essentially look deeper and ask, is this food balancing for me? Yes or no? And I test it. I teach people and I do it this way. So this, my indicator is I hold for a no or I hold for nothing. And then I open for something I need to look into. And I can't teach all that and how to do it in one episode, but Learning how to do it correctly, like you said, is crucial. I can't tell you how many people have private messaged me over the years and said, I have tried everything to learn muscle testing and I can't get it.
So what is it?
If you're at that point.
Why is it? Why is it that it's tough for some people to get? Like, because I know Tracy was having a little bit of a rough
Yeah,
at the beginning.
Yeah,
Not a
that's
rough go,
actually
but
a really great question. That's what I was going to speak to you right now is imagine opening a computer like your laptop, and it hasn't, it's just been running programs for 20 years, right? And you haven't completely shut it down, given it time to rest, reset it, you know, given it an upgrade, so to speak, or whatever. And it's just going and going and going and running these programs. What's going to happen when you open it is it's either going to show a bunch of pop-up ads and it's going to be overwhelming. So then people say, all I get is yes, 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 yes. Or all I'm getting is no, 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 no. That's why. Or it's going to stall out. And that's when people say, I don't get anything. Like, it's not doing anything. Our body is a bioelectrical computer. It's a bioelectrical field running programs. That's scientifically true.
Yep.
And here we're asking it to run another program in addition to everything it's running, and facilitate that conversation between the conscious and subconscious. And it's going, you can't ask me to do more right now. I don't even know what's going on with this. Like, you got to figure out what's going on here. Then we can run another program. And so when that happens, I give tools of how do we clear out those old programs first, and then have this new program running accurately. And that takes time sometimes for people. And sometimes people get it right away. But self-muscle testing is an incredibly powerful tool, because you can go from seeking to understand with the conversation with your conscious and subconscious of, is this food balancing for me, to is this supplement balancing for me? How much should I be taking? Should I take a break from it? Are these shoes balancing for my feet? Is this dietary plan the best approach overall? Is there an emotion that's stuck here of why I'm not processing and getting further and moving further in my healing journey? Is there something physically stuck here with stress that I'm not understanding? Even in that, I have people who come in a lot of times, they don't understand the serpentining of the body. So they'll say, I have shoulder pain here. I've been seeing a chiropractor for 10 years because I have shoulder pain here. What they don't understand is if it hurts here, there's usually something off here with your sciatic area, because it goes, down here is pulling and tight, but it's been so tight for so long, they don't notice it. So they're noticing the pulling here. Muscle testing, even if you don't know that body work, just understanding, hey, is this part of a bigger story? Yes, great. This is part of a bigger story. What other part of my body does it have to do with? And going through and asking, is it somewhere else in my back? Is it somewhere in my front? Being able to facilitate the conversation with your body, I want to put it in perspective, is the most powerful thing I think you can ever do with your health. And this is why. Everything that we're doing right now, even this video, is all zeros and ones. All computer coding, yep. Zeros and ones.
Yep.
The only thing is how you put it together is how complex the story can be. It's how complex the answers can be. Once you understand how to do muscle testing, that just 0 and 1, you can get better and better and better at it, which is what I do. I help people learn how to find the deepest stresses in like less than 5 minutes with people, but they begin with muscle testing. And then it becomes this complex thing that you can do that is as beautiful as the beginning of what a calculator was with the computer, of 0 and 1 to this. And that's what I hope for people to have, is that empowerment in themselves to be able to have solutions and find answers to shift and have their healthiest, best lives.
Yeah.
So that's self-muscle testing and applied kinesiology and the history of it. So that was a whole lot. So, okay, I hope I didn't lose you guys.
That was great.
So the next thing is pendulums.
Okay.
So there's a thing that you can look up online called Dowsing. Texas State University, I think Harvard, if not, it was Penn State, a bunch of colleges have done studies on dowsing. Now, dowsing is when you find this stick wherever and it has like a fork in it. And then they use that stick and they try to find water somewhere on the earth.
Or ley lines, right? Energy lines, ley lines.
Energy line. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Energy lines, ley lines, where there's water flowing, energy is, because you actually have an ionic exchange. Like people who go to the ocean, it actually is healing because of the negative ions. Same thing with Himalayan lamps and that kind of thing. It's negative ions. So there's a shift, literally ionically, what's happening with the energy there. And the dowsing stick, which is just a regular stick, is drawn to it. So it is replicatable and reproducible. I mean, it is like there's many, just look up dowsing. That being said, when you're looking at a pendulum, and I'm going to show you with just a necklace, not even a crystal. And I show people this all the time. I'm actually going to take this and show people how you can do this with a pen. Because one of the complaints or concerns I get is dowsing or using a pendulum with a crystal it's witchcraft, it's voodoo. It's the same as dowsing with a stick in the woods. Nobody is out there with a stick in the woods going, that's witchcraft, that's voodoo. That's not a thing, people.
They've been doing that for so long. They've been using that
so long.
technique for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years.
Yes, yeah. Because everything is electrical. Everything's electrical. And so everything is, even the things that we think are solid, anybody who remembers like third grade science knows that on an atomic level, it's moving. It's still moving. Everything is in motion. Everything is electrical. So you can take a pen from a chain, just a pen. That's all this is, just a normal pen. And all you're going to do is essentially hold it over your left hand. And you're going to say, show me a yes. And it's going to go up and down, like when you're saying a yes. And that's it. You say, thank you, come to a stop. And everything in the universe wants to work towards balance. So it's going to do it. And then you're going to say, show me a no. And you're going to see it's going to go no. And then you can say, show me a stronger no, because it's not working a whole lot right now. Showing a strong no. Thank you. And then come to a stop. And you can even say, show me if I've left something out of this question. You'll see it makes a left circle, a circle all the way to the left. It actually can work to show you if you've left something out of the question. Come to a stop. Show me if I need to add something in. You're going to see it's going to go to the right. This can be done by children, okay? This is done by anyone and everyone who is able to have a pen or something as a weight and a string. That's all it takes, is a weight and a string, because we are bioelectrical beings. And the fact that we're bioelectrical beings is not the fact that we are. It is a fact that we're bioelectrical beings. It is a fact that before we are anything, we are bioelectrical. That's why when we go for, to the emergency room or something, the first thing we do is an MRI scan, a CAT scan, checking on the electrical flow of the body. They're checking our electrolytes. If you're depleted, those electrolytes are needed because those are the minerals that allow us to send and receive signals that are electrical throughout the body. Think of a house. Without the wiring, the metal, which is mineral wiring, you can't send and receive electrical signals through the house. Without the proper electrolytes in our body, we're not able to send and receive signals properly. Every cell of our body has a potassium sodium exchange. We have the potassium sodium ionic exchange in that channel pathway. And I don't want to lose people in saying all these things. So in other words, you need sodium, potassium. But that being said, every cell of your body is a lipid. It's a fat. So you need fats and you need sodium and you need potassium because they have an ionic exchange to create what is called the Krebs cycle and energy and mitochondria and powerhouse, all these things that happen from every single cell on. Then our brain is literally sending and receiving electrical signals all the time. Our heart has its own bioelectrical field, just like our brain does. That's actually 10,000 times stronger and larger than our brain's bioelectrical field. One of the things that I am is a QEEG practitioner, which means I'm able to take that head thing that you put on your head and look for what's called Z-scores of over energy and under energy of stresses in the brain, and doing neural feedback and brain scans. And when we're looking at that, the same thing, we're looking at the electrical signals and pathways. Are they being sent too strong or too little? Or is it cohesive, neutral, the way that it should be flowing? But even with that and the brain, again, the heart's bioelectrical field is 10,000 times greater. So we are essentially walking, talking batteries, and on a earth that is electrical as well, right? We have the Schumann resonance, we have ley lines and the polars, the North Pole, the South Pole, vortexes like in Sedona. So the idea that we are electrical and people don't wrap their head around it is something that has been lost on purpose with our education system. It is. So, you figure this is, I think it's approximately a 50 to $60 billion industry, the health industry is, where we are constantly selling health under the guise of sickness, of buy this, do this, buy this, buy this, buy this, more, instead of ever discussing the fundamentals of what's going on with the belief systems that you're sending and receiving, what's going on with the mineralization of your body, what's going on with oxygen. Are you actually breathing or doing breathing techniques? I can't tell you how many people don't breathe deeply anymore. Are you moving your body and barefoot on the earth? The earth has its hertz that it resonates at, right, is 8 to 13. Our body is 8 to 13. We need to be grounding with our bare feet as much as possible. I know it's freezing right now, but as much as we can, we need to be grounding and connected to that, because what we're surrounded by is gigabytes worth of hertz. So imagine sticking us with all the minerals, all the metals we have, like a fork, in a microwave. That's what's happening to our body every single day. We're being fried on a cellular level. And I don't mean that to be destructive or sad, but that's true. You can look at the live blood analysis of what happens with being around all this electrical current, and not just 5G, all that. I mean, just in our homes, there's AC current and DC current. Our body does not run on the type of current that runs through our house. Right. And so it's erratic to our body. And so before we go any further down that whole rabbit hole, I want to wrap it back in. We are electrical beings. We are. And I can't tell you how important it is for us to return to understanding that, because there are so many things you can do for free that shift and change your health way faster than some herbal supplement from Uganda that needs to be shipped in and only purchased through this company they are the only suppliers of it. It's insane what we're living in now. We have almost everything we need, I would say. And muscle testing and using a pendulum allows you to connect to that binary yes and no. Where do I go from here? Am I grounded? Am I taking care of this electrical body? A pendulum is so powerful that even using a pendulum, you can hold it over your hand. And this one is orgonite, which you can use whatever. You could even use a pen. Hold it over you. You can see, is there stress in my body? Yes. Okay. There's always stress in our body. We're always looking to remove it, right? Can you remove it? Yes. Please remove it and come to a stop when you're done. And you're going to see it's going to go to the left. If you could do nothing else in your life, you own a pen or a weight and a string, you can remove stresses from your body this easily. Now, is it going to remove every single level of stress? No. Does it still benefit to contact Tracy, Michelle, me, someone that is a practitioner that works with biofeedback and neurofeedback and muscle testing? Yes. But at the same time, this is a powerful tool that you can have in your life to, and it's coming to a stop, so thank you. Become healthier, remove stresses, identify stresses, instead of guessing at the next diet plan, the next supplement, the next exercise plan. You're able to facilitate that conversation with your body, the subconscious and conscious, and move forward to a healthier you in very, very inexpensive, let alone possibly free ways. And the difference between this and divination, if you're afraid of working with crystals because they could be bad mojo jojo, or they can store bad mojo jojo, one, that's true, they can't, right? Crystals are actually, they're very detoxing the body, just like minerals, and they can store charges, they can store information. We use crystals in a form, in a variety of forms for us to actually store information for computers, right? We know that they hold a lot of information. So there can be that. That's a true thing. The thing is, I would say if that's your concern, work with something like amethyst, shungite, kunzanite. These are ones that are very grounded. They don't store anything negative. They're very much like a neutral. Like, you know, you figure binary zeros and ones. That's just a neutral. These are neutral stones. If not, you can work with anything that you want. You can work with a pen, you know, it's fine. But I want to encourage each of you that when working with a pendulum, it is not the same as divination. Divination is future. Tarot cards are future. These kind of things, palm reading is future. You know, astrology, depending on what you're doing, is future. It's saying it's saying I'm a victim and I surrender to that's what I have to be. It's one of the reasons I don't like the way 99% of people approach epigenetics. Yeah. Your epigenetics are not who you are. They're what your body's doing right now.
In the moment.
You can change it.
Right.
You can change it. If you can turn those genetic stresses on, you can turn them off. That's what I do with people. So when we're looking at the difference between divination and why it was warned against, it's because there are an infinite potential futures for you, right? What you're doing and interacting with me on this podcast versus what someone else wants to do with their free will and listening or not listening or sharing it. There's an infinite amount of potential future realities because we all have free will. Cancer, free will. Parasites, free will. Fungus, free will. We all have free will. So nothing is set in stone and none of us are victims. And as a Bible-believing Christian, that's not what God wants us to believe. He doesn't want us to believe we are victims. We are co-creating always. We are not what's done to us. We are what we contribute, what we bring to the table, what we choose. So this is not divination. We're not asking who in the future we should marry, what in the future we should do. We are stating and understanding right now for my body, this brings me balance. Right now for my body, this is a good diet plan. Right now for my body, this exercise plan is the best match. We're matching a frequency with a frequency and getting a yes. This is a strengthening matching frequency or no. This is not an energy strengthening matching frequency. Okay. That's all we're doing with muscle testing. What'd you say?
I just want to say real quick that, see, when I first started doing this, and this is a good point, is that I was asking it questions. And the thing is, when I learned real quickly with Tracy was you don't ask it a question. You are making a statement and then
stating a truth.
There it is. Yes. Stating a truth, and it will give you the answer in that statement. So it's not, is, smart popcorn, cheddar popcorn good for me? It's like, smart popcorn cheddar is good for me. And it's going to say yes or no. And that's good to know because it makes a big difference between whether you're asking it a question or you're making that truthful statement to it. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that point up because that is one of the things that I teach in my class for sure. And, it's one of the things that I teach 101 because the universe does not work in potentials, as in questionary gray areas. It works in this is a matching frequency or this is not a matching frequency.
Yep.
That's it. And that's one of the reasons why I tell people that we're not asking our pendulum something. We're not asking our muscle something. We're saying this brings me balance. Show me a yes. Or show me a no, this brings me balance, this doesn't bring me balance. With muscle testing, it's the same thing. We're using our muscle as an indicator. There are people who use muscle testing, they do the O-ring, which is using this and seeing if it unlocks or if it stays locked, just an indicator change, right? Just either yes or no. So you're getting a yes or a no. And then there are people who use a sway test. They either lean forward for yes or backward for no. There are people who do, like chiropractors who use supraspinatus as a yes or a no, just a no, it's not good, or no, it's weakening, or a yes, it's strengthening.
Those are the two I learned in massage school. Yeah.
What'd you say?
Those are the two I learned in massage school. Was the supraspinatus arm test and the sway test. 20 years ago.
Yeah. And when I teach those are a little bit more in depth. And the reason for that is because, again, we have polarization in the body. And if our body is the indicator, right, our body is actually giving us the test results, not a pendulum. Then again, we're back to that computer example of if your equipment is off, your answers can be off. And a lot of people say, they're like, oh, my muscle testing, it's off, or that person muscle tested me and it wasn't accurate. If you're using a thyroid panel test and the parameters are off, the results are off, right? I can't tell you how many clients are like, yeah, I know my thyroid is off, but it's not popping on the test because the parameters are not set to a sensitivity to match your body.
Yep. It's not calibrated
Right?
properly. Yeah.
Exactly. So if your computer essentially, or your testing system, your equipment, whatever you want to call it, is off, then it's a sway test. I even when I teach a sway test, there's a lot of people who go backward for yes and forward for no. And they're actually, their polarization of their body is off. And so that's one of the things that we have to fix with them. Or they're not hydrated enough. So their body's just going like, I don't want to do this. I'm just backing up. I don't care, you know? And so using your own body with muscle testing takes more finesse and more training, because of the fact that you have to understand to recalibrate, like your wording, your equipment, right? Where if you're using a pendulum, a necklace, a whatever, crystal, anything, it's already there, it's already done. And so it's an external testing modality as opposed to using yourself as the equipment. Another challenge with using your own self muscle testing or your own body, or even on someone else, is the emotional aspect. Even when I was learning applied kinesiology, we had to do a bunch of client hours and, fill out the paperwork where they were before and where they are after. And so you're going through and you're muscle testing, like psoas, fascia lata, whatever it is with these people. And if they have an emotional response, that's going to affect the test result. So let's say like I have grapeseed extract right here. All right. Let's say that I'm sitting there like as a chiropractor, as an applied kinesiology, whatever it may be, kinesiologist, and I'm saying, okay, well, go ahead and hold this and let's see if you sway forward for it balancing or not. Let's say that person ate grapes and got, food poisoning on it, right? At one point, they're going to go, whoa, no. But yet for the anti-parasitic effect, it might be super balancing. Plus it helps you with your polyphenols and your antioxidants. So it might be super great for them, but because of their emotion associated with the color purple, the word grape, they go backward. So that's another reason why it's really great and having a pendulum as the first type of thing that you access that facilitation of conversation between the subconscious and conscious, because you're able to step outside as being the equipment and have a more accurate equipment to facilitate that conversation, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It makes absolute sense. And I like the clarity on that too, because I think, some people may have the kind of misconception that when you're using a pendulum that you're like, invoking some kind of, spiritual energies or something that is giving an answer. And really, it's just your body's responding to your subconscious, your own being that holds all the answers in the known universe. I mean, we hold the entire history of everything inside of our bodies already. It's just a matter of bringing that out. So that's really what it is. And I like that explanation, because that may clear some things up for people that may be like, thinking it's some kind of witchcraft kind of thing. And it's not at all. It's very scientifically proven, and it's working with your own body and your own knowledge and your own wisdom that gets the answers that you're looking for to help balance yourself.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up your own body. As far as one of the things I also wanted to mention tonight was there's some really great literature out there that you could get on Kindle or a paper version, if you want the book version. I like printed material personally, but there are two books that I recommend to a lot of my students. One is The Body Keeps the Score, and I have it. Let me grab it real quick. And I don't have the other one right now with me, but The Body Keeps the Score is a wonderful book that goes over a lot of research about that's essentially transforming our understanding of trauma, how we store trauma in the body, what that does on every single level, spiritual, emotional, physical trauma in the body, and how to shift that. It goes into a lot of studies about the brain and body connection regarding trauma specifically. Sorry, I'm getting a message thing. And I feel like it's a wonderful book because when I'm working with people again and again, there's this belief that we're just physical and that's it. And my stomach hurts and my stomach hurts. And yet we look deeper, and right away in the first appointment, we can find out, okay, you know what? Your stomach hurts because you have an inherited belief system regarding nurture and how do we process nurture. And so you are actually rejecting nurture on every level, believing that it's like a bait switch thing. And then that person goes, you're right. Ever since I was little, I've had food issues and no one could explain it. But my mother's mother was very much like that, or my dad's mom, or someone was very much like that. And she was that way to me too. And we could never trust it. You know, what happens is you'll see that that person physically, energetically, on every level rejects nurture. They're the person that, and it's a very common pattern, actually. That's why I bring that pattern up. They're the person that if you ask them if they need help, they say, no, 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 I'm fine. But yet they're also like at home crying because they just can't get it together. They just feel like they just can't keep up. They also are reacting to almost every food under the sun. And according to traditional Chinese medicine, nurture is in earth element. So they're reacting specifically to like milk and grains of all kinds, specifically wheat, that kind of a thing. And their body's just really reacting to it and they can't figure out why. And that's why, because their body is running a belief system that nurture equals pain. And that's stored in their body. It's specifically stored in their stomach and it's stored in other portions of their body. And through muscle testing or using a pendulum or a variety of modalities now that facilitate that conversation between the subconscious and conscious, we're able to understand those reasons of why our body is behaving and expressing the way that it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. So basically what you're saying is like, and this is kind of getting into the epigenetics aspect of it too, is that you could have somebody who's been lactose intolerant their whole life that could actually switch that off because it's
I've done it for years now.
Built
Yeah.
belief structure. As soon as they're allowed to be relieved of that trauma or whatever that block
Mm-hmm.
is, then that lactose
Mm-hmm.
intolerance, just as an example, would no longer be there. Right?
Yeah, one of my clients a long time ago, one of the first ones that I worked with lactose intolerance on, her mother had passed away and she really struggled with that. Obviously, you know, she loved her mom and her mom loved her. And milk is in nurture, which is also in earth element, which is where you see child parent relationships. Like fire element is where you see small intestine, heart, triple heater, pericardium, and it's where you see the relationship of lovers, right? But then if you're looking at parent-child relationship, that's earth element, nurture. You feel, you know, a mother grows her baby within her womb, within her earth, you know, that's her earth. And so when her mother passed, it was a long time that it took for her mother to pass because she was very sick. And as she did, she continuously got more, the daughter got more and more sick. And eventually it got to where she couldn't drink milk at all without getting eczema and rashes, really bad. And it took one appointment for us to figure out what the tie was in her body. And it was releasing that trauma. And since then, for years now, she's been able to have milk with no issues anymore. Yeah.
Bam. That's awesome.
That's it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And it's amazing how we can use really these simple ideas and simple knowledge, simple tools that we don't need all kinds of pills and supplements and all this stuff that's been hammered down through the line for so many years that, you know, it makes me think too. I mean, going back thousands of years ago with the more tribal based communities, I mean, these people were absolutely amazing. I mean, these people knew when weather systems were coming in days in advance. They knew all these types of remedies. They knew how the body worked. It's kind of funny how we really just moved away from all of that. And it's like now we're just so dependent.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah. And they didn't have autism. They didn't have these hormonal imbalances like we see now. Yeah, there was the random person who had a fertility issue, which was super random, or the random person who may have had something on the spectrum, you know, ADD, ADHD, autism. But this is prevalent in our country today. And
Right.
we even look at countries like, there are countries in Africa where they are nutritionally incredibly deprived, and yet they don't have these hormonal imbalances, these endocrine disorders, these spectrum issues in the same rates that we do. But what they do have is they have more community. They have more time where they're barefoot outside. They have more time with their bioelectrical body being grounded. They
Right.
have more time of conversing and working through these emotional conversations with their body. And we don't have that. We are so incredibly separated from our body, and from each other and from the earth like never before. Up until 100 years ago, shoes were made of a natural material. We were always grounded. We just were, because there was a natural material. We're literally not connected to the earth anymore. And up until 100 years ago, we didn't have this electricity, and these countries in Africa, they're not having these electrical wiring and electrical homes that we're running, that are very different frequency than our body. There have been studies done on, I wish I had that book in here, but there's, and I'll have to reference it later, but the light electricity connection, and studies that they did in Japan on homes that had electricity running through it, just apartment complexes. And then what happened when those people, when they turned off the electrical powering for a little while, and no longer had that, that essentially, the very man-made current that we have now running through their homes. And almost every single one of them, their health issues went away just with not having electricity, literally just not having electricity, because our electrical body is constantly competing with their electrical signals that are going through our house. And, people are like, well, that's crazy. That's just, maybe it doesn't affect you as strongly as other people, but I can tell you, no matter who you are, it is affecting you.
Yeah, so their frequencies are affecting us too, or like they used to run everything at 432 hertz through the radio and all this stuff. Now they're running everything, I think since the 1920s or 30s. I don't know the exact date. It's been for a long time now. They figured out that 432 hertz is probably a little too good for people, so we're going to start running 440 hertz through the radio and everything else that they have been doing that ever since. So what do you think about that, like with the frequencies?
Actually, yeah, that's actually in the book that I was recommending as well. It's light. It's, you know what, if you don't mind, and I apologize to everyone, but at the same time, you're welcome preemptively. I'm going to go run and grab it.
Yeah.
There are two books. You're running a genuine podcast of sincere people. You're running a genuine podcast of sincere people who really love to give out free information and help you get healthy.